surgery. So my days are a lot longer, and I have to do a lot more work for my thesis and things. I'm like, damn, I miss being able to do this. And like, I have no idea like how I got to like 600 odd posts, but it was something that it's a pure passion. And like, I really would love to try and find something similar to that again, like I can do. That's why I'm sad that I don't podcast so much more, because that was like my least. I can't stop talking about comics because I love, like, that would never change. Even if there's less books to talk about, it's still books to read. Like, I still read a fair amount every week.
So what are you reading right now that's sticking out to you? What's something recent that you wanted to write on and you haven't written anything on yet?
There is an independent book called, I'll show you. Well, I'm not sure you, but I show everyone else, but it's called The Beautiful Death. I don't know if you've ever heard of this.
No, I have not seen that.
It's just one of these. It's just one of these.
What's
It's
the
like
publisher on it? Who put it out?
It is Static Press, and it's a book that I've really enjoyed because it has the most incredibly intricate artwork, and I think you could really appreciate that. It just looks so impressive. I think it's a French creator, and it's just
See, that looks good. See, I think that's one thing that's missing in the mainstream is that kind of art, that level of art. It's few and far between in the mainstream industry these days.
It seems like the mainstream, you get more of the cutesy art nowadays in so many of the books than you do the old gritty art. Like a book that should be a gritty artwork, they're still trying to make it seem like cutesy and when it has no business to be.
I think in mainstream superhero comics, I think that there are still some things have changed somewhat, and I think there's a pressure to get books out so quickly, and I don't think you can get books out monthly with the same artist to that level of quality anymore. So, I mean, this is only issue number 5, and this has been going on, I think, for the best part of the year. But it's just a beautiful story, really well told visually, and he's obviously the writer and the artist, and it's just something I relish every time I read it. And it's just so good. I just want to tell. I always tweet about it. I always like say, "Did you read this? This is great." And I absolutely love it. So that's something that's just everyone should just read. So that's one thing. The mainstream is on fire, and that's everything he writes. I try not to. I wrote a lot about him on my blog, and now I still tweet about him and. I don't want to keep sounding like a boring person because that's all I keep going on about, and that's one of the things that I get a bit like, oh, I don't want to keep like blowing his trumpet 24/7, but I should do because it's still good. But also his set of artists now are also amazing. Like Mitch Gerard's on Mr. Miracle, his work is just phenomenal. Like how he makes like a reality TV show out of Mr. Miracle is something that's really cleverly done. And everyone should be checking out and seeing like the way in which he develops the story with these nine panel pages. It's glorious.
Yeah, I do want to get the trade of Mr. I missed out on getting it when it started, and then I didn't get the rest of them because I missed the first one. But I'm definitely gonna get it in trade because I hear it's incredibly good.
Which one is that?
The Mr. Miracle.
Oh yes, Tom King. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I was reading interesting. So I guess they had put something. I don't know if DC or somebody had put something up about Tom King. Because he's collaborating with something, and so many people on that official DC thread were bashing him, saying how it's the worst Batman they've ever read. He destroyed Batman, and I'm just sitting there going, how can you say that? His Batman run has been phenomenal. He built on what Snyder had laid the foundation for, and he built on it. And we're getting some.
Changed it. It's different. It's different, but still great.
How many people have written and drawn Batman? Like, how can there be one type of Batman anymore? Of all characters, who has more variations on one character than Batman? And he's still everyone's favorite character ever. Like every single person loves Batman.
Yeah, and I mean, like,
there's no right for anyone to say anything like that. It's just ridiculous to think that you can.
And they try to go back to, and they all have their opinion on who they say Tom King is horrible, but then they all try to give their opinion on who they think is the best. And I'm sitting there going, I'll be the first to say that if I don't like a story, I'm not criticizing the writer. I'm criticizing the story because there are times I may think it doesn't work, or I was expecting maybe something else, but this is still what the writer's vision was. Let's see where it pans out. Unless it's just completely horrid, and the movement, and I still harp on that book. That was DC. What were you doing in the during that time? But and notice I said the movement. I did not say Captain Marvel. I did not say Captain Marvel. Not at all. But last time you were here, we had talked. We had Secret Empire was going on the last time you were here. Did you finish Secret Empire?
Of course. Sadly, where is Nick Spencer now?
Oh, what is he doing now? Now, Chief, you still haven't read Secret Empire, is that correct?
Yeah, I have not. I may go back and look at it, but I've started getting Marvel again because
it's actually a great crossover. It's a great storyline.
I was waiting for Banner Hulk, and then they said he was coming back in No Surrender, so I started picking up some Marvel. after they killed the Banner Hulk off in Civil War II, I was pretty angry with Marvel.
Civil War II, there was an awful lot of mess in that storyline.
Yeah, so I didn't read any of Secret Empire. I mean, I had gotten off Marvel because of that long before Secret Empire came out. So I missed a great deal of it.
Here was my issue with Civil War II. It seemed to me, now this was a Bendis run event. Who he's now over at DC Comics. He's going to be writing new Superman stories over there. But Chief, remind me, there's an email I need to send you with some preview stuff about that.
Oh.
But it really, Civil War II seemed to me more of, we need to get rid of these characters to make way for these other characters. So that's what it was like, we need to get rid of Tony Stark because we need to put spotlight on Riri Williams. We need to get rid of Bruce Banner because we really need the full Hulk focus on Amadeus Cho. We really need Miles Morales to be more in the spotlight, which I don't mind. I like Miles Morales. I really do. I like Miles Morales. But it really did just seem like Bendis telling the world, all the original superheroes you loved are shit. They have no place in modern comics. We're getting rid of them because we're going to bring up these new characters and they are going to be better than the old ones. That's what and then you have the Ulysses Inhuman that has these powers, and then he goes off and you don't really hear about him anymore.
Oh, he becomes a Celestial, doesn't he? So
yeah.
That's the thing I didn't like about it, is that the storyline never actually ended. And the whole Captain Marvel business and her being on the wrong side of the right side of the law and Tony on the other side was just thrown to the side. And it didn't matter anymore because there was no impact apart from the deaths of the characters. So where is the impact of the storyline? And that didn't exist. At least the original Civil War had a point.
Yeah.
This one didn't really have a point. And there were some nice graphic and emotional moments in this, but there wasn't an overriding storyline in it, and it just petered out, just disappeared. The ending just didn't really exist, and that's the biggest disappointment, and that's a damn shame.
Well, see, I think one of the writers I always harp on about how great they are. Well, Tom King's one of them, obviously. Jonathan Hickman, another fantastic writer. Jason Aaron, another great one. I just think that there's very few on that level. I like my superhero stories. I don't want kooky, wacky shit in my superhero books. I want them to be deep and well written and have meaning and have impact on the future of the Marvel Universe, like the way Hickman writes or the way Aaron writes, to where the stuff they write means something. It means something in the long run. And some of this wacky, kooky, cartoony looking Marvel stuff, it just doesn't feel like comics to me. Not what I grew up on and not what I like about comics. And the guys like Aaron and Hickman just seem to be dropping away from the mainstream and going and doing other stuff. And like some of my favorite heroes are getting left to these people that are drawing them kooky and cartoony and fun loving. I don't want fun loving. I mean, for me, yeah, I guess. But I mean, for me,
it is, because things are changing.
Well, things can. I mean, people. I
Well,
welcome people to do that, but I also
Well,
the ones that I like are the writers and the artists that I like
yeah.
are
So
gravitating away from the mainstream
it was
and take.
Marvel Now, wasn't it? Marvel Now was kind of like your and my favorite kind of era when Hick was writing the Avengers and everything else was kind of producing a lot of high quality solo books, and that was such a good time. There was so much going on, and there was so much like invention and interesting
Yeah.
stuff going on artist wise. And
I mean, that's
that
when you
has,
had
Things
Hickman's
like that.
Avengers, you had the Superior Spider-Man, which was we've always
yeah,
harped that Superior was amazing. You had a good Fantastic Four ongoing, story. But nowadays, now I'll say this: Secret Empire. I think we talked about it last time. I think that was Nick Spencer's middle finger saying, "Fuck you." Marvel was great. Chief, we're gonna make Marvel great again. It's gonna be amazing. We're gonna build a giant wall around the DC Comics. No DC Comics are gonna come in. We're gonna have DC Comics pay for it.
It's huge.
It's huge, Chief. It's huge.
comics pay for it. But Nick Spencer was vilified, and he didn't handle himself very well on Twitter either.
No,
But he
his.
wrote a good
I
story.
just looked. His account's still protected. His account is locked. You have to request to follow him on Twitter. He's still protected.
Mark Waid rage quit Twitter a couple weeks ago or whatever. So,
And it's a shame because Nick Spencer's one of those writers that I championed very early on before he became huge, and to see him kind of fall apart really is really sad because the guy is a talented writer and he's a very good story builder, and his intricate weaving of his plots is really interesting to read, and I always just found it really interesting to talk to as well. And his Captain America story ended really well. Like his Falcon was just fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And we think the whole that beginning was like, how do you take an African American guy being Captain America and keeping it relevant, politically relevant? And that's what, especially in current era America, and that's something he did. And no one's really done like a story about that. And now they're trying, like the new Falcon writer is trying to do something similar, but it's not working. So he's still trying to make this like a fantasy story. So Nick Spencer never did that. He kept it very real, and that progressed from him being Falcon to Captain America to him failing and then coming back again. And it was such a great story. And you ignore Steve Rogers, ignore the Hydra stuff, right? That was his real Captain America story.
Yeah, it really was.
That didn't really bother me because with comic, you got to think comic books are going to change every 6 months. Captain America is going to be evil for a little bit, and then he's going to be Captain America again. They're not just going to make Steve Rogers evil forever and leave him that way. You know that's going to happen. I just think that I don't know. It's Captain America in the '80s. There was a time when there was the Captain America No More storyline or whatever, and that's when they had Nomad or whatever become Captain America for a while, and and he was wearing the black suit with the white star on it or whatever he had.
Yeah.
And it's like nobody lost their shit over that back then. I mean, practically the same thing. He left the shield to somebody else, which even then I thought Sam Wilson should have got it back then. I had thought with all of his team ups with I would say T'Challa, but T'Challa's a king. He doesn't need to be Captain America. He's got his own kingdom. But Sam Wilson should have been Captain America back in the '80s, but they gave it to a few other people had taken the
Bucky had
shield
taken
of
it.
Captain America. And
Yeah,
it's
well,
like,
well,
I mean,
people-
I
it
didn't
took-
understand the uproar over the Captain America thing.
It took
That
a long
wasn't-
time to write a letter instead of tweeting.
It's like I say first of all I think Secret Empire ended perfectly, and in the final battle between
Really
Hydra
well
Cap and Classic Cap was so good, tying around the sentient cosmic cube and everything like that. And then they come out with Legacy, and I will admit, most of the Legacy titles I'm absolutely enjoying. I am absolutely X-Men. I have told Chief this multiple times. The X-Men books are back to what they should be, about mutants, about the struggles of mutants. They've had story arcs with the Executioner. They've had story arcs with Mojo. It's like everything we used to love about the X-Men books, where it was like, oh, there's the Blob, there's Juggernaut. They're back in the X-Men books. There's a great book, Weapon X, which is Wolverine, Sabretooth, Lady Deathstrike, Warpath, and Domino as a team, which I really enjoy. I love that. Chief's been and I both have been loving the new Punisher book that's been out.
Yeah, I've